All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome again to Black Coffee and Crime. Today is Thursday, August 13th. We are actually going to do today episode, is this 8? Episode 8. Episode 8. And one of the biggest things we're going to talk about today, Jackie's going to talk about, is Ray Dandridge and Ricky Cray, who did a crime spree in Virginia in 2006. And of course, as always, shit that we found on Al Gore's internet. Okay, so as always, we start with the church announcements. These are our opinions. We find interesting cases for us to talk about, mostly revolving around the African American community. If there's information that you would like to add, please do so in the comments, and we will definitely be able to interact with you once this video is posted. And then always, respect each other, respect us, because these are our opinions. We're not professionals. We're not law enforcement professionals or anything like that. This is just something that we love to do and talk about. So those are the church announcements as follows. If you choose, you can go ahead and bless that offering plate, either with an actual blessing. We like the kind that jingles, but we'd rather have the kind that folds. Right. So the ushers will be going down the aisles. No gum chewing, no disrespecting the pastor, and please wait for the benediction to leave. So those are the church announcements as follows. Please govern yourselves accordingly. So I'm gonna tell you some interesting stuff that I found this week.
Okay.
I was watching this Netflix show called World's Most Wanted. Okay, so these are the most wanted people in the world. They got for El Chapo's boss. So I never knew that El Chapo had a boss. I thought El Chapo was the boss, but he wasn't. So that guy. Then, interestingly enough, if anybody remembers, in 1994, there was a genocide in Rwanda. And it was against the Hutus versus the Tutsis. Ooh. And there was this guy who financed the whole thing. And his name was Francine Kabuga. And he was arrested. Almost 1 million Tutsis. And this is like a tribal war there. Mm-hmm. That he owned this radio station, and he really created this propaganda machine. Like, you thought Hitler was bad, but this was just as bad or even worse. It was horrible because he actually had machetes and things just dropped in the streets so that Hutus could use it against any Tutsi, women, men, children, elderly, it didn't matter. They would literally cut them down in the streets. So in a month's time, it started in April 1994, and in 100 days, almost 1 million people were gone. And he was arrested.
What area is this?
This is in Rwanda.
Jesus.
And there's a movie called Sometimes in April, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. Hotel Rwanda is about this as well. But he was arrested. Interpol got involved, the FBI got involved, CIA, everybody couldn't find him. Of course, I don't think they really wanted to find him. He kept bouncing around. So finally, May of this year,
they found
him.
What?
The French police found him.
Wow.
So Francine Kabuga or Kabuga, I wrote it down and then I erased it. Kabuga. Yes, he was captured in France. He's like 80 something, but it doesn't really fucking matter. But if you watch that documentary, that episode about he financed the whole thing, and they were telling stories like the Tutsis were devils and they will eat your children, and it's horrible. So anyway, he's captured. So, yay for the French police. And the international community, and those who survivors of the genocide. I'm quite sure they're jubilant about that. And I did have something else about Al Gore's internet.
Okay.
But let's just talk about Fort Hood real quick.
Ooh, check.
What the hell? Another soldier dead. This time he was found in a lake during like a boating accident or something. And then you posted yesterday about some Fort Hood soldiers in a child prostitution ring.
Yes, it involved like 9 people. Only like 2 of them two of the Fort Hood, but still, what they were pretty much doing is like setting up like a small ring where they would communicate through social media to try to set up having sex, with 15 and 16-year-olds.
Yeah. The WFAA article that I read, I think that's the same one you posted, said that no children were actually hurt by any of this.
My mama right here.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Right here,
okay, you can go ahead and do it.
No, let me. Stop. I'm on the thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man.
It's okay. So they were saying that no kids were hurt during this. It was just that they had people posing as the 15 or 16-year-olds to capture them in this little ring or whatever. But like I said, I don't know what is going on at Fort Hood. I don't know when Fort Hood became the stepchild of the U.S. Armed Services. I don't know what's going on.
I have no idea what's going on in Fort Hood. It's like every time you turn around, it's either someone's getting murdered. Here we now have a little trafficking ring. It's always something. So we ain't going.
No, Colleen. So I guess there's not going to be a live broadcast from Colleen. We won't be doing any investigations from Colleen or anywhere near it. Because like you said, we might come up missing. Ain't nobody gonna know. So yeah. So again, Fort Hood on the program is no longer Florida. It's Fort Hood. So before you go into your story about Ray Dandridge and Ricky Cray, I just have to tell y'all, I'm gonna do this unsolicited plug about these things I have on my face. Okay. I am not worthy. And Jackie has a pair on as well. I'm wearing the ones called Cola. Which ones are you wearing?
I'm wearing Addiction.
Okay, she's wearing Addiction. But these lashes, these unworthy lashes, because I'm unworthy, are from Jinx Minx. Find Jinx Minx official on Instagram. This is a young Black entrepreneur who started this. And I'm really not a lash person. I'm really not. And I wear them, but they're like short, just to give me some fullness. But I said I'll buy them. I was like, I'll support you. I'll buy them. So I bought 2 pair for my cousin. And then I kept looking at them, and I was like, I have to have a pair of these. And I got the last pair. Well, this was last week, but I was like, save those pair for me. I got the Cola lashes. Now, y'all, I don't know if y'all can see. Can you see for her?
I can see you, baby.
Can you see these? Now, you see that? See that? Yes. I don't feel worthy, but you also shouldn't feel worthy by wearing a pair of these. You should put these on your face and walk around and feel some type of way about yourself. You hear me? Yeah. I ain't going nowhere tonight. But I'm just gonna walk around the house with these.
Yeah, I work at home. I'm just constantly.
Yes, I just want to bat my eyes like Miss Millie. I just, like I have these on. I got my shadow on. I got to do some makeup that is worthy of these lashes. They're actually really light.
Your makeup looks beautiful. The lashes look beautiful. It looks good.
Thank you. I put them on and I was like, these are going to be heavy. I ain't going to be able to blink. I don't know. I've never worn lashes this long or this full. But they're actually like super soft, super luxurious. Y'all should get you some. So again, Jinx Minx Official on Instagram. Order some. Shipping is quick. I think I ordered these last Thursday and I got them on Tuesday. So I ordered these last Thursday after the last show and got them on Tuesday this week. And let me tell y'all about the packaging for these things. You see this? Yes, beautiful. And then when you get them, there's like all kinds of little cute surprises in the bag. It's just wonderful. So I just need to do that shameless plug of Jinx Minx Official Lashes. Get you some. She's a young girl. She's, you know, you can't
Really
help but to support.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be getting the Addiction lashes. And what's the other pair?
Addiction, and I can't remember the other one, but she just got in a whole nother shipment of lashes that'll be going up. But I don't know if I'm quite ready for those lashes. But
I don't know. I think I need to act like I'm grown.
25 milliliters, baby.
I need to act like I'm grown because these right here, hunty. I was like, I don't even know if I have them all right, but I'm just gonna wear them. But hunty.
They look good.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So I'm gonna be blinking a lot during this episode, just because I just feel like I need to blink. Okay, so there's that. So now we're gonna talk about Ray Dandridge and Ricky Gray.
Ricky Gray. So first, let me start off by letting you know that this is a little graphic. So if you hold on one second, I'm sorry. Okay, it's a little graphic. So if you have a very sensitive thought about certain things, I definitely would suggest you listen to this with caution. Because
all right, because we do graphic.
Kind of graphic because it involves children. Some people are very sensitive about children. So just letting you guys know. Just gonna get a little warning. So we'll start off with Kathy and Brian Harvey. They lived in Richmond, Virginia. They met each other, you know, some time back. I'm trying to look at the exact date. I want to say in 1995. Mm-hmm. Fell in love. He was a part of a rock band. You know, she's supposed to be the girl who wears the, you know, the most popular girl in high school, prom queen, all of those things. They got together, got married, had 2 children. Ruby, who was 4 at the time of this incident. And then you had Stella, who was born in 96. And they had their happy little family in Richmond. They were known for throwing little parties and, you know, kind of like the American family. Known for throwing house parties, known for having a good time. He worked in computers. He worked in like little, I guess, play dates with kids in the area and toys. And, you know, they just had their happy little family. They were so comfortable in their neighborhood, they would even sleep with their door unlocked. That's how comfortable they were in their neighborhood. So we're going to first start with a backstory.
Okay.
The reason I'm doing a backstory, let me say first, it is not to say that I think that the murderers are any less than what they've done. They're wrong for what they've done. However, I do believe that psychological and mental situations that someone can go through their life can definitely affect them as an adult. Not everybody, but some people. And it's not fair to think that everyone can just be strong and move forward. That's not right. So that's what I'm doing. Because it's really sad. So Ricky Gray, he is from Maryland. When he was 7 years old, his daddy would consistently abuse him physically. His stepbrother would constantly and consistently sexually assault him, rape him, anything you think of. And that happened to him until he was 11 years old, for sure. His father eventually went to jail, family known for alcoholism. He was doing drugs and drinking by the time he was 11. Actually, 2 years prior, so when he was 8, he was already drinking and doing PCP. They had already hooked him onto that kind of lifestyle.
Okay, we're gonna come back. I have a question when you finish about the PCP and him being so young.
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay, so I've seen people on PCP. I've seen what they can do. I've seen how they act. And I'm just wondering, did this child go to school? Because I don't understand how a child could be on PCP and I think he would have picked out all the bricks out of the foundation of school if he was 9 years old and on PCP. Right. So that part of his history that Ricky Gray tells, I'm a little iffy about that. Like I'm not sure that while it's possible, I just think it's improbable. I don't really buy that part of his narrative.
Yes, because they really don't discuss if he finished school or not. So I definitely agree. I was kind of like, I don't know about that one. You know, maybe you did somebody's drinks that was on the table. You know, that's possible. That's very possible. That was alcoholic, and they didn't mention anything about his daddy having a drug problem. Just say he was alcoholic. Okay. So that it is a little. Stepbrother molested him for a long time, and then at 8, and they don't even say that he, was taken home. They don't even talk about that. They just talk about how horrible it was, the psychologist that dealt with him on this case. So they don't even talk about if he left home. He didn't even mention it. Or if he did, I didn't see it, no way. And then in age 17 in 1995, him and his nephew, Ray Dandridge, is his nephew. They're really close. Ray kind of looked up to Ricky because he's like, oh, he cool. He doing all this stuff that's bad. And, this is fun. And so he kind of looked up to him. So he had no problem kind of following him around to do things. So they end up getting caught, but just doing little small robberies around the area. Did some jail time. Mainly just little small jail time here and there. And then they did some assaults, which landed them both 10 bars. Both of them. So when they get out, Ricky gets married to, let me get her name right. Trevor. And later on, she comes up dead.
They were only married for 6 months.
That was it.
Now, let me tell you something that Ray said about Trevor, and the reason why Ricky married her. He said that basically Ricky married her because there was money involved. I'm not sure how she connected with him, but somehow, some way, like she promised him money and, that she had money or whatever. And he's like, he only married, that's the only reason why he married her, because she was ugly. And when Ray says that, he's like, when I saw her, I'm like, why did you marry her? And so Ricky tells him the story, and he's like, because she was an ugly woman. Now this is out of his mouth. He does an interview with who is it? Criminal Perspective. And I'll post the interview, but he does an interview with Criminal Perspective, and he just said she was an ugly woman, and that's why they got married.
Yep, and he got with her as soon as he got out of prison. So, that's sad. I didn't know he said that.
Yes, and I was like, that is so.
Yeah,
they don't speak ill of the dead, but it was kind of. I mean, I know this man is a murderer, but even in that, I was like, that's just unnecessary for you to say.
Yeah, it is. And even when they found her body, the mom, they were living in her mom's house. And they found the mom, when she came up, dead, they went to the funeral. At the funeral, she noticed that he had scratches all over his forearm, a few on his face. And her and the husband, or her and her father, Trevor's father became suspicious. They're like, stop, like, where you get all these marks at? Which, at that point, I thought, why didn't they tell detectives? So detectives could do because I tell my daughter, like, if somebody ever attacks you, you score the
Right.
that way they have their DNA on their nails. So
Right.
I always wonder why they didn't say anything. I was wondering all week, like, why didn't they say anything?
Well, they were questioned. Ricky was questioned immediately after she was found. But
Right.
the detectives, the police department was like, oh, it's nothing. They ruled the death as suspicious, but didn't investigate any further. So that's why her parents were really upset, because it was like, y'all, you knew something was wrong. You found her in the woods, like, and they didn't go any further. So they did question Ricky, but they let him go. So he would have had those scratches when they found her. Right. And I think they found her like the day or the day after they buried her in the woods.
Super fast.
Yeah.
Super fast. Found her.
So those scratches would have been like really fresh.
Well, after he got through dealing with her, then he hooked up with not Ashley. Hold on, I made a name. What is that? Murder. He hooked up with another girl that went to the house. Her name will come back to me in a minute. So on New Year's Eve of 2005, the husband came home. Mr. Harvey came home about 2 a.m. He had a set with his rock band, went to bed, thinking tomorrow, we got the party going on, everybody be over there, and they go to sleep. So at 9 a.m. in the morning, Ricky, Ray, and the girlfriend, which I can't believe I don't remember.
That was Ashley.
It was Ashley? Okay. I just want to make sure. I'm like, am I crazy?
Yeah, he helped him.
Okay. It was Ashley then. So they all got on a joyride to go rob people for the night. It's New Year's Eve. I guess technically it's the day before New Year's Eve, and Black people version, we'd be like, it ain't the next day till you wake up.
Right.
So it's the day before in our eyes. They go and they see this red brick house with, the door that looks like it's open, and they leave Ashley in the car down the street in the van, and they get in the car and they walk down the street, open the door, and go and take Kathy, the husband, Daryl. They take them all hostage. Not Daryl. Mr. Harvey, all of them, they take them hostage. Brian, Kathy, and the little girl, Ruby, at the time. Stella was with her friend. She spent the night with her. And they first went ahead and just kind of tied their legs together, bound them down in a seat in the family basement room where they hung out. So immediately, they're like, okay, we'll give you whatever you want. Whatever you want, we'll give it to you. It doesn't even matter. About a little while later, while they're down there, the daughter comes home. Stella comes home and the friend or whatever. So the mom is like, okay, well, I got to go up there. I have to get her, or they're going to be suspicious and it's going to draw attention. And I think at the time she's looking at it like, I'm just trying to guys, get what you want so you can leave. Trying to get her family still. She gets up there, and the mother, Kristen, which is the mother that dropped the daughter off, at the time she said that she remembered her looking like kind of stressed out, looking nervous, pale, and she was kind of worried. So when her daughter Stella shot past her, her daughter, Kristen's daughter, naturally wants to run in too, and like, hey, let's take a few moments to play. And Kathy, the mother, Kathy Harvey, stopped and blocked her and was like, look, I'm not feeling well. Y'all need to leave. And, just come back.
So she was protecting them basically from what was.
Yes. And there was some controversy around that, saying, why did she not just take Stella and leave at that moment? Why didn't she leave? Why didn't she run? So my own personal thought was, Stella at the time is 9. The Ruby, who is downstairs, who is bound already, is 4. So at this point, as a mother, because I am, a mother and you're a mother, my job is to naturally protect my girls regardless. So I don't know if I couldn't leave with my other daughter, because I'd be worried about my other daughter. That's just me, though.
Hindsight, I probably would have said, well, why don't you just stay another day, with them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
You probably we don't know what she was thinking, but most probably they're just gonna take what they're gonna take and go.
Yeah. Straight fear. She's terrified at this moment. Well, she shuts the door. Kristen said that she recalled her doing like this little crazy thing, with her hand. And she was like, well, what did that mean? And now she said it's still kind of haunts her because she's like, what does she mean by that? But I'm sure she's just trying to let her know, I'm really sick, so just go ahead and go.
Right.
So, then they go downstairs. The girl Stella, he bounds and tapes all their mouths together. Well, the girls start panicking, naturally. So the mom's trying to comfort her, and Ricky gets upset. He goes and slashes all of their throats. Yeah. But that doesn't even kill him. Matter of fact, his words exactly were what he told to the detectives is that they kept getting up and it was scaring him. So he didn't understand why they kept getting up, and it was making him freaked out. So then, and also Ray said that when he was looking at Ricky, it looked like he was on something because he was angry that he didn't find as much stuff as he wanted to when they were ransacking the house. So, I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird right there. I'm like, Ray, why didn't you try to convince him to leave? And,
from what I gather, it was like hero worship that Ray would follow Ricky into, a battle. It didn't matter. He was just whatever Ricky said. If Ricky thought it was a good idea, Ray would just be like, all right, I'm in. And he would just, Now, I mean, that's the reason why when they killed Trevor, he's like, we got a body. What we gonna do with it? Like, we ain't going back to jail. It was just kind of like, this is the situation in horrible situations, but the way he describes things is like, Ricky said, and I'm gonna go ahead and do what he said. So I don't think he would have ever, dispute anything that Ricky would have said at the time.
You're right. I guess I was looking at this like, okay, well, I know him, and since he already was saying like he's looking crazy, it's kind of creepy, maybe we need to just come back another time. But at the same time, he said that he was on something, and even Ricky said he was on PCP at the time. So that's probably why he thought they were zombies coming back to get him. When he didn't say that verbatim, but the way speaking is if he thought they were coming back after him. So he goes and gets after he cuts their throat, he goes and gets them what's it, a kind of hammer was it? I want to say a sledgehammer. That's what I want to say it is. And starts beating them in their heads until they all die. The crazy part about this is, let me finish this part. After he does that, he pours wine and everything all over the bottom in the basement, sets it on fire. They take a laptop, about $800, a few odds and ends, and they leave. So the other band member that is friend, his name is Hot, who is friends with Mr. Harvey. He comes, he notices him and his daughter come for their annual New Year's Eve party. Notices it's on fire. So he calls the fire department. Fire department comes. They're like, okay, oh my God, they died of this fire. They pull them out and notice immediately that they did not die because of the fire.
Right.
I'm assuming that it had to be a quick process for them to catch those bodies before that happened. Not the daughter, one of the daughters died from asphyxiation from the smoke, which means she was still alive of some sort. So the father died because he was beaten to death. Mother died beaten to death. But the youngest daughter died from asphyxiation and then eventually because of her injuries. But that's why I said, you know, the disclaimer, because the injuries didn't kill her off
Right.
top.
So she had to witness her parents and her sister go through this, and she still was conscious through the entire thing.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's the youngest one, the 4-year-old.
Yeah.
That's just horrible. That's so sad and horrible. And I was like, oh my God, you know, I felt so bad. I was like in tears because, you know, I'm sitting with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, what trash? You know, they were trash anyway. So, you would think, so Ray and, while this is all happening over there, Ray and Ricky decide, well, we're going to go to a group, you know, one of Ashley's friends' house named LaToya and go hang there for a couple of days. So they go over to LaToya's house, you know, they're hanging out over there, and LaToya's mom comes in and she's kind of like, get her name exactly. Lily comes in and she's kind of like, hey, you know, what are they doing here? You know, why they in my house? And so as time went on and they were over there, LaToya started noticing that the pictures on the laptop were the people they were seeing on TV.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she's noticing, like, okay.
So did she tell? What did she do?
Well, she told Lily, her mom. So they're both panicking because they're like, hey, they over our house.
Right.
So eventually they leave. So they're like, okay, good. We finna call the cops. So they call the cops and let the cops know, hey, you know, they got this picture, this laptop with their picture on it. So, you know, y'all need to do something or figure out what's gonna, you know, what y'all gonna do. So the cops at this time, now they're still investigating. So they haven't done anything.
Mm-hmm.
So now they have thought, okay, well, we need to go get some more money. We need to go do something else. So they go back, they go to tell Ashley, well, you know what? Isn't your mom and dad, don't they got some money? Like, don't they have some good stuff going for themselves? So she's like, yeah, and I got a key to my house and everything. So they tell her, well, this is what we're going to go to your house and just go in there and rob your parents' house. Ashley, the girl he's talking to, is agreeing
to rob her own parents. Wow.
Her parents, Mary Baskerville Tucker, and her dad, his name was Purcell. Is that his name? Like say it?
Yeah, Purcell.
Oh, Purcell, who liked to make pies.
That's
what he liked to do. That was one of his hobbies, making pies. They go over there and they were supposed to rob them.
Mm-hmm.
Then one of them, I'm not for sure if it was Ricky or Ray, I can't really remember at this moment, but one of them calls LaToya and said, your friend Ashley is gone bye-bye. So they panic, Ashley and Lily, and they call the police for a second time and like, hey, y'all need to go over Ashley's house because Ashley and Toya were friends. So she's like, can you go to her parents, make sure everything is okay? The police get over there, and not only do they find the parents, they find Ashley dead as well. Later on, Ricky will say it's because she was getting so he killed her. Simple as that.
In that same interview with Criminal Perspectives, Ray says that Ashley kind of had a feeling that he was going to kill her. He said that she was really calm, that she made a joke about the money, like because they were going to split the money. Mm-hmm. And she said something like, if I tell on y'all, then I get all the money. And that's when Ricky was like, she has to die because she talks too much. So she went in there with the intention of robbing her parents. But here's the thing, though. She actually knew that they were going to kill them. She knew that Ricky and Ray, yes, were going to kill her parents. Wow. Because she told the story to them that her stepfather, Purcell, had been raping her. And she wanted him dead. So their plan was that to act like they were doing a home invasion and Ashley was going to be tied up and everything as well. So that part, she knew that she was going to be tied up and they were going to act like they were going to go through with killing her.
That's it.
But then it changed to where they were actually going to kill her. So she's in on the plot to rob, not only rob her parents, but to kill her parents. And then she ends up dying with them.
Did they ever? Because
that's kind of a poetic justice right there.
Did they ever find out if that was the truth? If that was a case, and she's, it's because right now it's what, like, that's an allegation? Because
no, that was true, because she actually had.
Oh no, but
Ray dated her. Like, that was Ray's girlfriend.
Okay. Right.
And so she had basically been riding along with them. She had been along for the ride for a minute. When they killed the Harveys, she was there. She was a part of that. She wasn't a part of Trevor's death, but they had also robbed a couple in Chesterfield, Virginia. Yep. And the wife was a man and a wife, and she was disabled. So they robbed him, but the guy convinced them to let him go because the wife was disabled. She was part of that. They also, in Arlington, they beat up this young guy.
His parents' house. Yeah.
Right. He was in a coma for 2 weeks. Like, he lost the ability to use his right arm. And in this interview, the guys from the podcast are talking to him and asking him, he's like, who? So they're like, what was the young man's name?
Okay.
Ryan Carey.
Carey.
Yes. He was attacked in Arlington. And he's like, when they asked Ray about that, Ray is like, who? What? Arlington? Like, what you talking about? And the guys are like kind of incredulous, like, you beat this man and put him in a coma and he can't use his right arm. That guy. He's like, oh, y'all talking about Arlington? Yeah, I remember that. Like, he talks about it as if it was the third football game of a high school season. Like, he has no he has absolutely no remorse for doing what he does. What he did. And he describes his stuff in such a matter-of-fact way. Yeah. It reminds you of Michelle Blair. It gives you that same, if you listen to this interview, it's about 45 minutes long. And again, I will post that. It was published like a couple months ago, so I'm not sure when they actually did the interview, but they posted it to YouTube a couple months ago. But I was like, wow. Like, when they're asking him specifics about these crimes, like, they have to prompt him and give him the clues and dates and stuff, like, this is what you did. And then he's like, oh yeah. And then he goes into detail of what they did and how they did it. So he's very matter of fact, and it's like he's describing, like, he's reading off of a cereal box, really. There's no
I mean, it's not even a little bit of him. I mean, he just very straightforward. That's the first one I thought of. I was like, oh, he like Michelle Blair. I mean, he just literally is like, yeah, this is what I did.
Yeah. There's nothing there. Now, okay, so obviously Ricky is gone. He was sentenced to death, ran out of appeals. And part of his backstory, what you were talking about, the sexual abuse and the drugs, his lawyers were like, it doesn't excuse what he did, but maybe this gives you, will give, a better perspective of why he was able to do this, and the disconnect that he had. They said that his sister, Ricky's sister, testified during court that he was abused, but they really didn't go into detail about the abuse. But Ray spills all the business. Ray says that, yes, he was beaten, but he's like, the rape, he's like, he said, I don't think that ever happened. Yeah. He said, he did say that Ricky's father was really mean. And so he didn't really like to go over there when he was a kid because he was just really mean and he would drink. But he's like, he don't know anything about the sexual abuse, because he kind of chuckled a little bit. It was kind of like, that, okay, yeah, okay. So I don't even think that Ray believes the sexual abuse. Not to say it didn't happen, but yeah, because he said that, okay, there was this article that I read that said that his mom was sending him to, Ricky's mom was going to send him to a military academy. Yeah. And his brother raped him right before she was taking him so much that his uniform was bloody. Yeah. And I'm like, but you still sent him to the academy and no one said anything at the academy, like why this kid was bloody. Like I yeah, and it's fuzzy in those details. And
even talking about trigger smells, I was like, okay, well, these are normal, everyday kind of smells that, you know, he had some trigger smells, trigger sounds, trigger voices, trigger everything. So, you know, I'm like, this is kind of everyday things. I won't say that he wasn't abused, but I definitely think that the drug is in the air. And the sexual assault, I'm not sure. You telling me some stuff now that I read, and I'm kind of like, I don't know now, man. You know, now, you know.
And the thing about the drugs, okay, so they say that in order to like be able to deal with the sexual abuse from his brother, and then they also brought up that his father, he was sexually assaulted by a woman in his father's brothel.
Yes.
As well. So he was raped by an older woman in his father's brothel. And I'm like, where'd the brothel come from?
Yeah, they did say that about a brothel.
And I was like, where does this come from? But
I was like, I mean, what happened? Like, I don't know.
So where did he get the drugs from? Where did he get the reefer wouldn't have been too hard to find. But where is an 11-year-old getting PCP? And why isn't he having a heart attack taking this stuff? Why isn't he literally bouncing off the walls? And why isn't he in prison or in juvenile hall prior to 1995?
You're right. Yeah. You're very right.
You know, and
it's he didn't go to jail till a lot of 5 when he was 17. Prior to that, he had no issues, no prior convictions, no nothing. A clean record, actually.
And you talked about his triggers, like he was triggered by smell, by sound, by the smell of old socks. He was triggered by the sound of white noise on the TV. Yeah. But I'm like, why was he triggered by this only those times?
Yeah.
Why was he only triggered in 2005 and 2006 when they were committing these murders? Why wasn't he triggered while he was in prison? You're in prison with a bunch of men. That's all you smell is old socks and ass. So why wouldn't you have been triggered before that? You know
what? He had this psychiatrist. That psychiatrist that he had. Let me tell you, whatever lawyers he got to get that he got assigned to, my team was working hard. I ain't gonna lie, they were working hard for him. They were like, look, we know he did it, but it's because he's crazy. Look, we got this psychiatrist that's been doing this for 20-some years, and he say he's crazy too. So, you know.
I don't doubt that he was either a sociopath or a psychopath, but I think he knew what he was doing because according to, and again, we're going with the person who lived, according to Ray's interview, was like he was making conscious decisions, crazy decisions and unwise decisions, but he was making those conscious decisions while he was doing this stuff. And he would say, okay, well, she has to die too. When they killed the Harvey family, it was, they saw our faces, so they gotta die. And it was just kind of like they gotta die situation. It wasn't, oh my God, a panic, what are we gonna do? It was, no, they gotta die. There was never a point where it seemed like Ricky or Ray were in a panic mode, like manic. Right. It seemed as if we're gonna go rob these people, and if someone dies, someone dies.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. I don't even think they thought they were gonna die. I think they
kind of like in the Hi-Fi murders when they went in there was like, okay, we're gonna do this, and if we have to kill people, we have to kill people,
Yeah.
And so kind of like the decision was, if we find anybody, then they're going to have to die anyway. So, you know, so they were preparing themselves
To do so.
for the setup, you know, to do it. And they were prepared to do what they did. They were definitely prepared. But this interview, it's called Interview with Spree Killer Ray Dandridge by a Criminal Perspective. It's about, like I said, about 45, 46 minutes long. And it's funny at the end of the interview, because the two guys who were doing the interview, like, they stop, you know, Ray's off the phone, and they're talking about, like, this guy just came on here and just said this shit, like, oh, well, you know, and they are really appalled that they could get up, that Ray could get in there and discuss this. They asked him, do you regret anything? And his answer was no. Was no.
Was it one of those it made me a better person type ones?
No.
Or
No. He did not say, I wish I hadn't done it. I wish I was someplace else. He was just like, no. You know, no. It's really nonchalant. What? I'm telling you, it's really nonchalant, and just kind of like this whole 7-day murder spree was just an episode, a small little episode of his life, and that he got caught, you know, that was it. You know, there's no, like, I wish I hadn't done it. No, you know, he's just like, well, you know, was there anything about your life that would change? And he's like, you know, no.
Oh, I gotta go watch you.
Yeah, again, I will post it. Let me send this to you right now. Yeah, I will send that to you. But yeah, I mean, you killed 2 children, your girlfriend and her parents, and the children's parents, and there's no part of that seems that was enough to shock him out. They also asked who was the bad influence. Was he the bad influence on Ricky, or was Ricky the bad influence on him? And he said Ricky was the bad influence on him. It was always Ricky leading, but it was like, it's like Ray was a psychopath with no no purpose. Because I mean, just because you're a psychopath doesn't mean you're going to turn into a murderer. But It was there, and then Ricky also been a psycho. So you put them together. Ricky's like, okay, well, I have a plan, and we should do this. And then Ray's like, well, okay. Yeah, it was like Gilligan and the Skipper.
Like, okay, to everything. Okay.
Yes. You know, he just wholeheartedly agreed with everything. It's like, I don't it seems like the pictures of the 2 guys, not, and this is crazy to say, but they're not bad looking guys. And the way that Ray talks, I could just imagine just random ass dude coming up to you, okay looking guy coming up to you and talking to you, and you would speak to him, because just in his voice, there's nothing that would trigger you in his voice. This man is a murderer, and probably would kill me too. Like, there's nothing to indicate, no creepiness in his voice. There's nothing in his conversation. He doesn't go off on tangents or anything like that. He's just a straightforward guy. And to think that he was just walking, and it seems like he's one of those people who is the most dangerous, because he would be unassuming. Other, you know, like, you would be able to talk to him. There wouldn't be any red flags. And then next thing you know, his uncle is standing over your bed, and he's like, "Oh, we have to kill her." And he's like, "All right," you know, like,
Even her, can you imagine her in that moment, you know, when he just go, look, we just got to kill her. And you just like, all right. And then she like, what the hell?
I thought we was in this together.
So I told y'all about them.
It's like Nino and Nino Brown. What's Nino's brother name? In New Jack City.
I can't remember his name. My memory.
When you talk about CMB. Now Nino was like, nope. Nope. No.
Am I my brother's keeper?
Right. You know how that ended the first time.
Say yes and shot it.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of like what happened. Just what happened to Ashley's. It was and you know what? I had never heard of this story. I had never heard of the story.
I heard, you know where I heard it from? Crime Junkie.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard of the story.
And was like, ooh, like but a year ago.
Okay.
It was like,
so one of their earlier, I haven't watched or listened to any crime podcasts since March, since I've left the job. Mm-hmm. I haven't listened to any of them.
Me either.
Faithfully listening to them, but I think that was just like my work, like associated with coming back from work. So I haven't listened to them, especially now. I haven't listened to any podcasts because I don't want to bias myself on any stories that we do. I don't want to do anything that was just recently talked about on another podcast or something like that. So that's another reason why I haven't been listening. But I was actually interested in doing a story, another one out of Virginia. And I am going to do this next week, even though it's out of Virginia. And this is the Briley brothers. Now, if you think Ray and Ricky were bad, the Briley brothers will give you nightmares. The Briley brothers will give you nightmares. So this happened in the late 70s in Virginia, and they were absolutely bonkers. And it was 3 brothers and a friend.
Mm-hmm. They did the most? Oh, I can't wait. I'm excited.
Oh, the absolute most. And again, we are going to give the disclaimer ahead of time. If you have a problem with the murder, this does involve the murder of children and the elderly. That's what we talk about. You know, we talk about murder a lot. But this is especially brutal. But I will say this. If you listen to us talk about Michelle Blair for 2 episodes, then you can listen to the Briley brothers.
And it's very high killers. If you can get past, that was hard for me to listen to because I got cringy. So if we can get past that, I can get past anything.
Yeah, but I think it's different when you talk about people who who are intelligent and people who have plans and people who do things for no reason at all. Versus people who are incited by passions or anger or something. You can kind of understand what that person's perspective was at that time. But when you have a killer that just does it for no reason, you don't know what to do with that. You know, what do you do with that? What do you do with a person who kills randomly? And you get a pleasure from it, because that's what Ray was getting. You could tell in his voice when he's describing this that he's getting pleasure, at least from, when he talked about the robberies, and they're like, that's why he got a high off of it. And that's what he and Ray were feeding off of. They were feeding off of each other, doing things and getting this mental high off of the robberies and scaring the hell out of people and then eventually killing them. So we'll definitely talk about that next Thursday with the Briley brothers, because we're in Virginia. We're going to stay in Virginia and talk about them. And there's another serial killer rapist guy out of Virginia too. But we'll get to him later. But we'll definitely do the Briley brothers next week.
Really quick last subject. Have you noticed an excessive amount documentaries on Epstein. Have you noticed it?
On what?
On Epstein. What's his first name? I can't think of it.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes. I don't know what happened. It's like there's one on Netflix, there's one on Lifetime, there's one on
that's
another
because Jeffrey Epstein was
no, it's off top. I've been watching.
He's the guy who puts let's just put R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, and Harvey Weinstein in a mixer and shake them up, pour them out, and then you have Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
He's that bad.
Oh, it was that bad.
He's that connected.
Yeah.
He's that connected.
Remember we were talking about last week? Remember we were talking about last week?
He's connected to Prince Andrew. He's connected to President Trump. He's connected to President Clinton. He's connected to, all kinds of Hollywood celebrities have been at his parties, from Naomi Campbell, even Paris Hilton. I saw this thing that Paris Hilton said, that someone else said that Ghislaine Maxwell tried to procure Paris Hilton for Jeffrey. Yes, they were at a party, of course. Her father is Conrad Hilton of, Hilton Hotels, a billionaire or whatever. And she was, this was in the early 2000s, late 99, 2000. And she was at a party, and Ghislaine Maxwell was like, "Who is that?" And the person that she was with, she said, "That's Paris Hilton." And she's like, "Oh, I would like to get her for Jeffrey. He would like her." So she was trying to recruit Paris Hilton at that time for Jeffrey. Yeah.
Baby, I was watching that. Oh my, man, he is horrible.
And that's the reason why he ended up in that jail cell, hung, and no one knew what happened, because he was too well connected, and he knew too much, and that's why they keep moving around Ghislaine Maxwell as well, because she knows too much,
and she's gonna tell some of it. And I was thinking about what you were saying, like he's literally somebody that got rich doing this exact thing.
Yes,
that's how he got so much money. That's how he got so known. People were like, he was like Great Gatsby. And he lied about his money. He just got connected to a certain person that got him.
And he had his own private island that he would have these parties at and take these girls. So, yes. So, as stuff happens, we will definitely be bringing up Jeffrey Epstein. So, I don't know if you noticed, but I got my Stars jersey and t-shirt on because they played tonight. Game 2, they lost to the Calgary Flames, but, this is a Stanley Cup series. Y'all ain't hockey fans, but I'm a hockey fan, and so I'm repping Jamie Benn tonight with my t-shirt. So, go Stars. Go Stars. All right, so we are going to go ahead and I'm going to get ready to watch the Stars play in just a little while, and I'm going to be keeping these lashes on because I think that these lashes are going to give us some good luck in game 2. Because
they're going to help.
Yes, every time there is a shot on goal or anything in the power play, I'm just going to blink, and it's gonna send good vibes to Alberta, Canada. So that's what we're gonna do. I think they're playing Alberta, either Alberta or Toronto. But
get my kids and get them in order since they're fighting like mad people.
Oh, the joys of having children at home all the time.
All the time. College, hurry up and open up.
Now, I'm so past that. Thank you, baby, sweet baby Jesus. And I only had the one, and that's all I had to deal with. But kudos to all the parents who were having to be cafeteria worker, janitor, teacher, teacher's aide, attendance clerk, all of that. So kudos to all of y'all. Again, thank you so much for sitting with us for these minutes and talking about crime, having coffee or having tea like I was having. And we will see you next week. So again, be safe and enjoy another cup. Good night.
Bye.